Hello and welcome. There we go. Hello, welcome to another episode of Trailblazers Rising, where I am bringing to you stories from fabulously successful neurodivergent entrepreneurs. And today with me, this might be a long episode just ahead of time, so you all know. I have my mutual friend who I have been casually stalking on social media for about a year, but I don't understand time. E.B. Johnson, the real E.B. Johnson, say hello.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. It's going to be good. It's going to be tasty, juicy.
Real good. Little disclaimer ahead of time. None of this is medical advice, blah, 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 blah. Use your discernment. We're going to get into some weird, deep shit, and you're going to feel a lot of things at the end of this episode. So, E.B. Johnson, your story. Not that I have watched every single one of your TikToks and know your story at all. That would be creepy and weird. Your story begins with you're adopted.
I am, yes.
Right?
Yeah, I was adopted.
And your mom was a narcissistic hoarder person, and you now, after going through all your trials and tribulations and all of your studies to put your pain into power, you now help people escape or heal from their narcissistic abuse. Yes, please tell us everything.
Yeah. So that's it in the tin can, right? I was adopted. My birth mother already kind of started that narcissistic woman pattern for me nice and early. And she threw me right into the arms of another narcissistic woman who was a major hoarder. She did have a lot of trauma, but she knew about it and she decided to just kind of weaponize it. So grew up with that narcissistic mother, the only daughter. So that was a very, very fun war zone. And yeah, I kind of got to a point after my mother died in 2017 where it was rock bottom for me emotionally. I thought I had been at rock bottom before, but that was it. And I went through a year of hardcore therapy with a psychologist. And that's when I knew I had to do something. I had to put it out there. Because I knew there were so many other people like me because, my therapist was one was like, I think you realize that your mother sucked as well. Like you were grown up in a bad situation. And that's what I did. I started writing on medium.com and that very quickly turned into a coaching practice where that's it. I try to help people recover from these really chaotic, dysfunctional, confusing backgrounds because it's so misunderstood. So much of the work, the research behind all this trauma and chaos, it's really just coming to the surface now. So, we're just kind of getting into the really good parts and kind of understanding what happened to us.
When I started my self-healing, spiritual awakening, all the weird shit. It was 2020 for me, just like so many others. My mom had just died from stage 4 head and neck cancer. It was
I'm so sorry.
We got shut down in March and she died in April. And I was a furloughed employee at the very busy restaurant. There was a lot of peanut butter whiskey. I was nursing my friend back to life at my house from a breakup 2 weeks after my mom had died. So things were askew in my life. We'll say that things were not very balanced and I was definitely the human giver, right? Now, in these past couple of years, I've really been unpacking trauma. And I always thought, as many others do, that trauma is some big, gigantic thing. It's a molestation, it's a attack, it's a house burned down, something like that. But trauma is literally just anything that you experience that your brain cannot process at that time.
100%. You just have to be overwhelmed. It has to trigger your autonomic nervous system, essentially, that limbic system inside of you as well. If that's triggered, that's it. That's trauma. That's essentially what it is.
Yeah. So I grew up in a very dissimilar situation. We were well off. My dad had his own architecture practice. My mom was a stay-at-home mom for everything that I could remember. They were both alcoholics and other things and stuff. It was not a healthy home. It was not a safe home for an undiagnosed ADHD autistic girl who was the youngest and was scapegoated because she always saw the world for what it is. I literally remember sitting in church. My sister and I had started elementary school. She's a few years older than me. And apparently we came home from elementary school going, why don't we go to church? Everybody else goes to church. Why don't we go to church? So I remember my parents rolling their eyes and saying, okay, well, we'll go to church, but you're going to see that very soon that you just want to worship St. Springs of the Mattress. They were so proud of that saying. And so we went to church a couple times, and I remember sitting there in the big congregation, a big Presbyterian church, so it was all blue hairs and white people.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there and having this thought as a small human. I was probably 7 years old, 8 years old. I remember having this feeling of, in here feels like they're lying and like they hate it and like they don't be here. And I don't like this doesn't feel good. So I tried telling my parents, like, hey, I don't want to do this. They're like, we told you when I wake up early. We told you I'm like this. I was like, no, I really just don't like somebody telling me what to believe. PDA autistic. What? I
Yep.
also don't like that everybody in here is lying. Energy healer, psychic intuitive, what? So now when I look back on the gaslighting that I received as a child and a young adult and a teenager and whatnot, like, bitch, I graduated high school a semester early and moved to Tampa, Florida, 2 hours away to start college when I was 17. I couldn't even buy my own cigarettes and I was paying my own rent.
Yeah, that's how the pattern happens. That's so crazy to me as well, the way we just kind of like know we don't even really understand what's going on. We don't know, but we eject ourselves over and over again out of that environment as quickly and as often as possible. So
Yeah.
it happens every time you look at a situation.
It's just to grow up, and we just said this before we started pressing play. You know, when I was 16, I was 30. I was a grown ass bitch when I was 16 years old, dating grown ass men. And now that I'm 37, I'm like 12, and I just want to wear emo eyeliner. And like,
I'm so there.
it's-
I'm there. It's
it's
like
nobody
I know that
warned
part
me
of
about
it- well, that's part of the trauma healing as well, right? It's also kind of ADHD and autism and all other kinds of underneath the neurodivergent umbrella there. But it's that kind of that reversion, that going back to that childhood self. And I think it's healing. I tell all of my clients that one of the best things you can do is do like joyful inner child work. For instance, so Christmas is always a bad time for me, and it's a bad time for a lot of my clients because when you have a toxic parent, the stress of that holiday season, it doesn't matter even if they're narcissistic or not, but usually that turns a chaotic home even more chaotic. And so
Yeah.
a lot of my clients experience a lot of physical distress around the holidays, just months before Christmas. It's the buildup. And I always tell them that inner child work, that letting yourself give yourself the Christmas you didn't have. Buy those toys. Get on eBay and find that toy from 1993 if that's what it takes.
What?
Yes, I have one in there. I did it. I did it. I did it last year, 100%. It's like a 1996 Tamagotchi. Yeah, no, 100%. It's that joy. It's like having fun. Let yourself slide back into that. Give yourself that childhood you never got so that you can kind of get over that hurdle and it doesn't take such an emotional toll and you can empower yourself and build your business or build better relationships or whatever it is.
So it's funny you should say this. This is something that I've been talking to some of my clients about, and I've been sending out in my emails to my list. So make sure you're subscribed to that, because that's really where I treat everybody like they're a group. I don't have a free Facebook group or anything like that because I hate Facebook, but I'll send an email 4 times a day.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this thing that I have been really sort of perfecting, instead of habit stacking, because we know as neurodivergent brains, we don't have enough dopamine for a habit. I have to think about brushing my teeth. I have to think about taking a shower. No wonder we're exhausted all the time. Our brain is constantly going, right? What I like to do is impact stacking. So when I go for a bike ride or a walk, I am exercising, meditating, inner child healing, business planning. Walking, I'm responding to my client messages a lot of the time. Or sometimes I'm so not in the fucking mood that I am scrolling social media while I'm walking, and I'm just flabbergasted at how graceful I am and able to do that.
I could.
But like, I can't. There were so many things that I wasn't doing in my life because I didn't want to do it the proper way. I don't want to just go for a walk and listen to nature and pay attention and not. I was like, I got shit to do. If I'm gonna walk 25 miles a goddamn week, which turns out to be about 5 4-mile days and 1 8-mile day, just so everybody knows. Something like that. I don't know. I have dyscalculia. But the benefits of the walking, I was like, then let's add some shit on top of it, right?
I love that.
I mean, inner child work is so important. And we know that play is one of the most motivating of the key motivators in the pinch motivator method of play, interest, novelty, competition, and haste.
Absolutely. And if you just break it down to even just that basic chemical level, it releases, all the good hormones, all those nice things that you want to feel. It also helps to activate the somatic nervous system, which is the one that helps to calm you and helps to counteract the autonomic nervous system, which is fight or flight. So literally just being joyful playing, it creates positive associations. It releases those positive chemicals, and it literally helps you process, those big emotional hurdles. And I love that impact stacking because that's, again, like I tell my clients, you don't have to sit in a room and just listen to a guided meditation. Put it on your headphones, go out and walk the dog, go and ride a bike, whatever you got to do, go kayak in a river and listen to it. That is so powerful because you're very right. We can't just really like sit still, and we don't have to stick ourselves in the boxes. I think that was such a hard lesson for me to learn as well. Such a hard lesson.
Yeah. Well, and I think about it too, as an entrepreneur with big, gigantic dreams. I'm going to be on big, gigantic stages, multiple books and all that sort of stuff out. Big dreams, baby. Your health is so important. I think about all of the entrepreneurs that I look up to in some way, shape, or form, from Tony Robbins. You got to take it with a little bit of salt. Every single person, you have to use your discernment and you have to take it with a little bit of salt. But I'll tell you what, that motherfucker really cornered the market. Like, he knows what the fuck he's doing. Like the Real Housewives. The Real Housewives that we love are the ones that understood the assignment.
Yeah. Yes.
right?
Exactly.
But all of these entrepreneurs understand that health and wealth, they're only different by one letter, and there's a reason. So if walking is what's going to help my body and my brain be the best that it can possibly be, aren't we so lucky?
Yes. And I tell you, I tell my clients, you go out and you just try different things. Like one day, maybe you're moving furniture. Maybe you're
Yeah.
getting up and cooking a new recipe because that's what gets you up. That's what gets you moving. Or you go and take a class or, like I said, just walk the dog, mow the grass. It doesn't have to be like a fitness regime. It doesn't have to be this specific
Yes.
grandiose thing that somehow feeds your image. You just have to move, just
Okay.
move and do something.
So you mentioned mowing the lawn, and I have to
Yeah.
tell you, what do you know about quantum leaping, quantum shifting, quantum jumping?
My understanding is very, very basic of that. I'm very curious about it. I'm very interested in it, but I would say pretty basic.
Okay. So the last time I mowed the lawn, which is
Mhm.
ADHD, let me follow the line so everybody can stay with me on this little off hike. Okay. To quantum shift, right? Which is essentially anytime that you think I want to be my best self, right? I want to be connected to my higher self. I want to be on my highest path, la, 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 everything in its highest form, blah, blah. It's all woo woo, but woo woo is based in the science. So the idea of quantum shifting that makes sense for me is that every single possible timeline we could be on is all happening at the same time, just on top or lower, right? So it's like when, hold on, let me take a book. Don't fall. So these are all the timelines, right? All these pages in a book. So I can go from this page to this page without having to read all that shit and go near, 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 near. So if you were the linear time that we perceive would be to read this book from page 1 to page whatever.
Right.
But
Through
to
it, yeah.
quantum shift using my energy, I can go from page 30 to page 80 if I'm doing the right shit.
Like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. So the way that you quantum shift is that you make these little micro changes every day with mindfulness and with living with intention, right? And then after a few days of that, of really being intentional, really making little shifts, right? So like if you would have normally yelled in a situation and you don't yell, that's a micro shift. Boom, look, we did it, bitch,
Exactly.
right?
I love
Then in one day, you do something totally out of your normal schedule. And for me, it was mowing the lawn because I haven't mowed the lawn in a very long time. But I mowed the lawn and I trimmed the bushes and I did all this stuff in like a 2-hour period. And then when I came in, you can feel the quantum shift happen. It's when you
Right.
have a gigantic moment of deja vu where you get the womp
Yeah.
womp. So you're like, I've been here before. I've done this before. That's literally you being conscious of going to 30 pages ahead.
Yeah, going to your next thing. That's very, very similar to what we do in the cognitive stuff, because it is like I was talking to someone the other day. I had the worst day, the absolute worst day a few days ago. I was really struggling. It was like one of those business days as well where everything goes wrong with every single client and you get every email you don't want to get. And it was the absolute nightmare. And I just stopped myself and said, I'm just going to choose to be that person, as in like my ideal person. And for the rest of the day, every single time I was encountered with any choice, whether that was a reaction or an interaction, whatever it was, I said, what would she do? What is that woman doing? And I did that. And it feels that way when you do that. It's
Yep.
very, very similar. It's putting yourself into that position very intentionally. And it only happens again with little stuff, right? It was responding, saying no to an offer that got made, which meant I got a day off later this week. And so I was going to actually get to decompress from another very stressful week. It's just those little tiny things, significant changes. That's all you got to do.
And then when you don't have the really, really thick experience of deja vu, you can also tell that you have shifted into a higher timeline because something like an exercise you've been doing becomes a lot easier, right? So the next time I went on my walk, I was fucking flying. I was 3.2 miles per hour without heavy breathing, without thinking about it, right? Because normally I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and POTS and mast cell activation. So there are some days where literally when I'm walking, I look like a rag doll because my hips are like, that's what's happening. And my shoulders like, that's what's happening. I'm like, okay, well, it's not pretty, but we're going to do it. And then there's other days. Then there's other days where I'm like, this is great, blah, 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 right? It just depends on what my body's doing. But that next walk that I went on, I was fucking trucking it. And I said, okay, higher reality, I'm ready for it. What do we got? What does it mean? What does it mean? So you just be cognizant of the micro shifts, right? And using your mindset and your intention to not relapse into the old stuff. I relapsed yesterday and had a big yelling.
Hey, that's a test. It's just, that's you getting an opportunity to like reaffirm who and what you want to be,
Absolutely, right? And the old mindset would have been, oh, I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I let myself get there. But the new mindset is, I'm so fucking glad that I just now realized how much work I have done.
Yeah. Good for you. I love that. It's like, it's almost that is like seeing a different person when that moment
Yes.
happens, when that shift happens, which is it's very exciting, it's thrilling, but at the same time it's kind of scary because we get so attached to that person that we were, and so it's almost a shock to the system when you realize you kind of stepped out of that cocoon, so to speak.
It made me kinda sad too. I had this moment too in June when we went camping, and we were floating down the river in Jenny Springs, which is in Central Florida, 72 degrees year round. It's a fantastic place to go,
Oh,
love it.
that's great.
And we were floating down the river, and my soda can was tied, or my soda bottle was tied to my son's floaty, and I was going to take a drink of it, and he moved his float, and it, like, just, all over me, and I was like,
Yeah.
"God," or I'd said something
Yeah.
just like that to him, and I looked at my husband and both of my sons at the same time because of where we all were, and they all had that look on their face that I have not seen in so many years. That look of like, because I'm scary. Like I get,
Yeah.
I'm scary. I'm volatile. I'm a loud girl. I don't have volume
Yeah.
control. Like I get it. When I'm mad, I'm mad. But I instantly like felt so sad because I realized I used to feel like this all the time. I used to be overstimulated and irritable all the time. And I feel like if we would just replace the word overstimulated with irritable bitch, we would take it a
Yeah.
lot more seriously.
Everybody would know as well. They would understand what was happening, because I feel like sensory overload, a lot of people take that to an extreme. They think it's like someone who can't tolerate any noise and it's this big explosive thing, when really it just kind of feels like someone's been picking at your skin all day with a pair
Yeah.
of tweezers, and finally you can't take it anymore.
Yeah, and the problem is it's so many things that you don't notice are happening, right? So my
Yeah.
business partner and I had a little qualm the other day. Mommy and daddy had a big fight. But we had been on campus all day at the Neurospicy Academy, so it's kind of like Zoom and kind of like a video game all together, right? And so it had been about 4 or 5 of us all working in the same co-working space, listening to other people's kids. She was editing videos in her headphones and listening to us, and had left her ring light on all day after her first morning call, and like all of the stars aligned for a blow
Ooh.
up, and
Yeah.
we blew up at each other, very surprisingly. I went for my walk because I am an avoidant attachment, and she literally texted me within like 15 minutes and went, "Oh, so I just realized everything that happened." She goes, "My light was still on. I had been irritable about all the sound." And, like, we realized she just hadn't taken care of her sensory care.
Yeah. I love that though. I
And it
love
was
that
her moment
awareness.
too. Yeah, because she was like, she thought I was crazy when we would
Yeah.
get on campus and I would say, "I don't light it on." I would turn my light off. I'd be like, "Thank God." She's like, "This is so weird. That doesn't affect me at all." And she started turning her light off. She's like, "Wow, what do you know?" But then I always get to hear my favorite words, which was, "You're right."
Oh, oh, that is better than sex. That is, you're right.
It
Great.
is. It is. So you've been coaching for a long time. I want to know, do you have EB-isms that, like, I have Melanie-isms that my clients and my students and my business partner will like say in their head. So like if they say something grumbly about themselves, they'll
Yeah.
hear in their head, "Don't talk about my friend like that." Because that's what I tell people when
Ooh,
they
I
talk
like
shit
that.
about themselves.
Yeah.
I go, "Don't talk about my friend like that." So
Yeah.
what are some of your EB-isms that you live and die by?
The big one is it's very similar to that, right? They get my voice implanted in their head, and I basically force them to turn that inner critic into an arch nemesis of sorts that they are allowed to fully take their rage out on and punish, because that's fine. That's
Well,
their
okay, so
existence.
write this down because I tell
Yeah.
people to turn it into their friend. Inner critic
Yep.
into arch nemesis.
Yeah, you can absolutely. That's the one person in the world that you can have free reign. You give them a different face, you turn them into someone you don't like, and you can just pummel them. You can just tell that bitch to sit in the back seat and leave you alone. Like, you don't have to be respectful to her, because she was given to you by people who weren't respectful to you in the first place. So she needs to go. That's how I feel about that. But if that doesn't work, some people aren't comfortable with their anger or aggression in a healthy way like that. So for them, yes, you turn it into a friend. That's a big one that I ride or die by. The second biggest one is, how do you feel? Because a lot of people that come to me, because they have so much trauma, they have a hard time forming relationships. And they're like, "Well, they said this to me and I saw them do this and this and this and this." And they really have a hard time seeing the patterns. They're looking for these like tangible things. How does that person make you feel? Because over and over
Yes.
again, if it's negative, then you need to step back. You need to step back and reassess. Like that should be the indicator of, what do I need to look out for? Is this dangerous? So that's a big one. How do you feel, more than anything
Yeah.
else? Those are the two big ones. There's a million of them. I don't
I
know.
tell
They
people
just
all
come
the
to me.
time. We were just talking about this on my live. Instead of trying to be positive instead of negative, ask yourself when you say something, Was that critical or was that curious?
I
Because
love that.
judgment, that's
Mhm.
our intuition. That's our spirit guides. That's the universe. That's our body and our brain and our energy saying this is good, this
Yep.
is bad. This is alive, this will kill you. Judgment needs to be on motherfucking point. Credit serves no purpose.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And tying into that, like one of the ones that this is the one that hit me, and I can't say that I created this. This was actually given to me by one of my first clients, and she's fantastic. But it's specifically because, again, so many of the people that come to me, narcissistic abuse, right? And they were raised by narcissists. So basically, they've gone out into the world like starving people who've never had the actual love that they biologically need to develop
The safe
normally and to
love,
exactly
the
to create
unconditional
secure
love.
attachment, all of that kind of stuff. So they go into the world as adults very, very hungry. And what my client told me, she was like, yeah, my whole life, because I wasn't fed love on a silver spoon, I learned how to lick it off knives. And that was like, that's yeah, 100%. And that is the pattern that you have to change. You gotta spoon feed yourself love and only accept people around you who are willing to spoon feed you love as well, or you're gonna keep licking it off knives every time.
God, I'm so premenstrual. I wasn't ready.
Oh, I'm glad I just got past that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Did you have
hit
a
me like
camera
a
into
ton
my
of bricks.
child?
I know. Yeah, hit me right in the guts, and I pass that on to every single person that I can constantly because that is the pattern until you intentionally break it. It's knife after knife after knife. You just settle for any cut you can get.
It really shows the hypervigilance too of like, yeah, you can I'm not gonna cut myself on that, but I also don't get to be who I am and I don't get to live without this hypervigilance to make sure I'm not caught.
Yep, 100%. It really,
Damn.
really especially hits home for the, people with ADHD and autism because I've yet to meet one person with ADHD or autism who hasn't been traumatized.
CPTSD, ADHD, and autism
Like
can all pretty much just
best
be diagnosed at
friends.
the same time. You have to be very special to be just autistic. Very like it's outliers, it's anomalies that are just
Yeah,
autistic or just ADHD or just CPTSD.
yeah.
And the studies and the science is there to prove all of this. Like the comorbidity rate of ADHD and autism, this is one of my special interests. When I tell people that I have designed my schedule as a neurodivergent entrepreneur running 2 businesses to be able to research 2+ hours a day, and 2 hours is like my bare minimum, this is one of my special interests. The comorbidity rate of ADHD and autism is 70%. And that's their fucking estimation. They don't even know how many of us are running around here neurodivergent, period. So all of our numbers are skewed and they're only studying little tiny young prepubescent boys. And again, great, I'm glad we're making
Yeah.
some. So, but like literally every piece of research that I come across, I have to accommodate and apply it to neurodivergent women in their 30s, 40s, 50s,
Yeah.
60s with, the drive to run their own business, all this stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
you really have to take things and then spend some time turning it into something usable and learnable from. But the comorbidity rate of PDA autism, persistent drive for autonomy, and ADHD is 100%.
Shocker there. Shocker that explains so much of my childhood as well.
I mean, my mom literally one of the first things she said to my husband when I brought him down to Naples when we first started dating, one of the first things she said to him was, you don't really tell Mel what to do. And he goes, oh, yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. Absolutely. What the fuck are you talking about?
That's
And
her
I knew
biggest
my husband was
complaint.
the
That was her
one.
biggest complaint.
I knew my husband was the one. First of all, I knew he was the one because I meerkatted him when we were working at Hooters. I just heard this guy yelling food up and I was still brand new and I just went, what is that? I don't know what it was. If there's pheromones in sound, I smelt them. And I went, huh? And I saw him and I said, oh, that's happening. And he's 8 years older than me. I was 19. I had no business doing what I was doing, but thank God I went after him. And so I went after him and we had only been dating for a little bit, but I was like, once I was able to wear him down to go on a date with me, I just kind of grabbed onto him like a little backpack and was like, how do I into that? And so I knew he was the one, but I really knew he was the one when my mom didn't like him, but she had liked all the other idiots.
Did she? She liked the
She
other
liked
ones.
all the other idiots.
The ones that were bad to you, presumably.
Uh-huh.
Oh, shocker. Shocker, shocker, shocker. Do you also find that he is neurodivergent or is he autistic or ADHD or somewhere in the mix, do you think?
We are a house full of neurodivergent people.
Yeah.
Most of us are self-diagnosed just because why go through the trauma of Western medicine if you don't need to? Like none of us want medication or anything. So it's like, we'll just start accommodating and that will, confirm and validate what our suspicions were because a doctor's really just validating what your suspicions are too, with their education and background, not in ADHD or autism. So
exactly.
we think that our oldest, who's going on 15, I think he's got his stuff. I think my husband, who's 45, has his stuff. I think my son, who's 13, has their stuff. and I think I have my stuff. And
Yep.
in my brain of being a non-medical professional, but somebody who's just, you know, all the things that I am and done all the research that I have, I really just feel like neurodivergent is the word to go with, and then start organizing it in a different way,
Yeah,
because
I agree.
I don't want the pathology of it anymore. I want
Yeah.
the validation and the understanding that, like, I'm a normal zebra, but I'm not a regular horse.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. I love that. I might steal that from you. 'Cause that's the perfect way to describe it. That's it.
So
I just wondered
we
because
try.
I find that go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say I only asked because I found that in all of this kind of trauma, digging myself out of it, I surrounded myself with neurodivergent people. I've really been doing that my whole life. Like everyone around me has either been very now obviously autistic or somewhere under the neurodivergent umbrella. So I just wondered if maybe that was a pattern you found in yourself as well, was surrounding yourself
Oh,
with
yeah.
people.
We stick
Yeah.
together. We seek each other out. We stick together. There's protection in numbers.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. And, there's some of us, we take on different roles in our community too. I've always
Yeah.
been a protector. I've always been the loud, barking dog, like,
Mhm.
you better be afraid of me emotionally, because
Yeah.
physically, yeah, I could cause some damage, but I could cause a lot more damage emotionally and mentally than I
Yeah.
can physically.
Man,
But
that's
I've always
yeah.
really been the protector of everyone. I was the mom in
Mhm.
every friend group, and, like, even as, like, a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 18-year-old, I was always the mom. And I just
Yeah.
had the thought, and I was gonna make content about it, actually. I am not a person who loves children. I don't love babies. Like, kids are
Uh-huh.
cool, right? Like, the cool ones are, but, like, I have never identified as a mom first. Like, I am a
No.
mom, but that's not, like, who I am. But I have almost always had an extra kid in my household. Like, so when my kids were very, very little, I was watching somebody else's baby while they went back to work.
Yeah.
Then when they were a little bit older, I was watching somebody else's toddler for a year or
Right.
so when they went back to work. When we were in San Diego, I watched my friend's kid. He was basically just an extra kid of mine for the
Uh-huh.
2.5, 3 years we were there. And then now that we're here in Jacksonville, and one of my kids is in high school, I am now the house that the high schoolers go to when they're done at school.
That's interesting. That's it, because I've kind of I obviously do the coaching and I like helping and stuff, but in that I'm just drained. I've become so drained in so many ways because it's been give, and that's been the whole story arc is the only daughter in this kind of family. But I admire that just kind of protecting that big, huge kind of open heart and opening the doors like that. 'Cause I struggle with that because of sensory overload, the trauma, the list goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah. I mean, I have done a lot more now to be a better human being and not be
Yeah.
sensory overloaded. And I was sensory overloaded. And I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, if you were babies now, when I was 37, you'd be a lot different. They're like, I know, mom. And I'm like, but do you feel like you can talk to me about anything? They're like, yes, mom. I'm like, do you feel like you're, and they're like, mom. And I'm like, I didn't such
Yeah.
a that I did. I don't know I was like, my parents never asked me anything about my life. They didn't want me to have my
Yeah.
friends over. They were like, if you're going to go to a sleepover, cool. I don't want to know who it is. I don't want to bring you there. Tell them to come pick you up. I don't give a fuck. And now I saw this thing that on TikTok the other day, my FYP was hitting me with those little book quotes after book quotes after book quotes
Yeah.
with that goddamn Hosier song. And I was
Oh.
it was gut punches, but it goes a little something like, as a woman, I understand a little bit. I can identify with my mom, but as a mom, I can't
Yeah.
forgive her.
Yeah. That's why I didn't become a mom was for that. It's that exact
Yeah.
realization for me. That's that I went the other side of the coin. I so fearful and so like, especially as I learned about epigenetics and all of that kind of stuff and learned because I've got
Yeah.
endometriosis and I
Yep.
suspect adenomyosis as well, but getting a
Oh,
you know how that goes. Yeah. Yeah. I suspect I've suspected that for years, but I've never been able to get a confirmed diagnosis because I've had too many surgeries and they don't want to do surgery. Anyway, the whole thing. But that for me, it was during that healing where I really solidified that choice for me, where I said, I can't risk it. Like I can't because I just, if I became her, I would just never, I can't do it.
we are all cycle breakers in our own way.
100%, 100%. And I have so much like admiration, respect for people who have been able to do the work to actually actively create a future generation of people who have been listened to and understood and allowed to have emotions. And people don't realize how powerful that is yet, like all of this groundwork that's going in now. But it's incredible to see people being the parents that some of us just never even knew existed.
My family is very unique because my husband is a Gen X. I'm a
Mhm.
millennial. Our oldest is a Gen Z, and our youngest is a Gen Alpha.
Oh, you got the whole spread.
We have the whole spread. We were born 78, 86, 2008, 2010. So I have the youngest of Gen Z and I have the oldest of Gen Alpha. I have the youngest of Gen X and I have the oldest of millennials. So it really worked out because my family, I grew up in, my parents were boomers, my sister and I are millennials. You know, it's just two clashing forces. So it's really important to me to have the energy in a home where people are just allowed to do what they want. Just fucking be who you want to be. Put your headphones on so I don't have to hear your fucking phone on whatever it is that you're watching. I'm never going to go grab your phone and say, what are you on there? I'm never going to walk into your room.
Oh my God.
I'm going to walk into your room. I am always going to knock and I'm going to wait till you hear the knock and then you're going to say something and then I'm going to say, can I come in? And then you say yes. And then I come in.
Oh, and oh my gosh, that damages the kids so much. That was a huge hurdle. It's a huge hurdle for so many people because even that simple violation of privacy happening over and over again as a child teaches them that they can't take up space. And then they become an adult who thinks they can't take up space or things don't belong to them. Complete mess. Complete mess. That was one of the biggest reasons why it took me so long to get on TikTok and start doing so I was on Medium for years and years and years doing my coaching, but I didn't want to get on TikTok and start talking to people here, which now I would kick myself for not starting a year early. And it was that I didn't want to take up space. And it was very much that like, this isn't mine. I'm not allowed to have this. This is for other people. My job is to just like be told what to get and what to do. And it was a huge kind of mindset, like ceiling I had to break through.
Yeah. Our limiting beliefs. I posted this on my threads the other day. Feel free to go follow me there. Anyway, it's just not taking off for me. I want to like it, but it's not taking off.
I didn't get on. I think I missed the train now as well.
It's not very rewarding. I'll tell you that.
Is it not?
It's just not very rewarding at all. But like I put the best, funniest, most interesting stuff out there on threads. It gets 2 likes.
Really? See, that waste of time to me would just be the final. That would just
feels well, and I'm very big on consistency. I'm very big on sustainable consistency. I'm very big on productivity and motivation. And mindset is at the root of everything, right? If you got money problems in your business, you got a mindset problem. You got energy problems, you got a mindset problem. You got any sort of problem, you got time problems, you got a mindset problem, right?
100. People hate hearing that. They don't like hearing that.
They hate it. My business partner avoided mindset work for 17 years. 17 years. And then she stumbled across me a little over a year ago and consumed all of my stuff, joined everything that she could for very, very cheap, had me on her fucking podcast and everything. And then finally messaged me and said, I don't know what to buy from you, but I need your help. And now, ever since we've been working together, we started our company, we started the Neurospicy Academy together. That's our joint venture. We talk to each other every single day. She's now my fucking best friend. Life hashtag. It's also her family members that are my team that edit this. So, hey guys, how are you? So like it really, the twists and turns that your life and your business can take when you're of the mindset of like, I trust that it's all going to work out.
Yeah. It exploded.
I just trust that I'm always going to be in the right spot.
Yeah. 100%. I was like, you know what? It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get on there and I'm going to say it and I'm going to do it. And people like it, great. When I turn off the phone, my life doesn't actually change that much. It's not going to matter. Worst case scenario, they don't like me and I stop doing it. And exploded. My coaching exploded on the other side of that. It's been very chaotic. It's been a big adjustment, but it did honestly come down to that hurdle. And yeah, people don't like hearing it, but your mindset is the root of your behaviors, which your behaviors are the actions. The actions create your reality. So it all has to start with that foundation.
You can only be as successful as your strongest limiting belief.
That is so true. That is so true.
And I tell people all the time, like, if you've never made $1 million a year, your body doesn't know. You have no base level. You have no understanding of it. So if you are making $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year in your business and you're behaving like you wake up at 7 a.m. and, you don't work out and you're not showering regularly, no hate, babies. No hate. No
We've all
hate. We all go through our shit, right? But if you're
there.
behaving as somebody that you've always behaved as, how are you going to be able to start sending out your vibration to the universe, the message to the universe that you're ready for better? You got to start being ready for better. You got to start doing shit. I always tell people mindset is like redesigning and redecorating your brain. And you have to take out the old couch before you can put the new one in. You don't buy a new sofa and put it on top of the old one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. And I also, I go further with that because I've been there times when I look around and I think, well, look, this is your reality, right? Like, what are you talking about? These big dreams, these big goals. You want to live in that house. You want to carry these bags or do these things or whatever it is. Like, who the hell do you think you are? I had to go and put myself in those environments. I had to go and surround myself with those people. I had to go and, like walk through the mall and sit in one of those fancy cars. And I had to literally put myself in some of those physical situations in order to tangibly touch it and be able to say, right, okay, if you want these things, you have to act and you have to do something different. And you're going to have to get outside of your comfort zone because your comfort zone right now is misery.
Yeah.
That it's not making it's they're not reaching any clients, you're not doing what you want to do, you're not expanding, you're not growing, you're not helping people see this huge problem that's right in front of them that, people are trying to wake up to. And I had to go and do those things. I had to go and, be that person for an afternoon.
You have to, right? And like I tell people too, if you're confused about manifestation, it has a lot to do with when you get your house ready for a house guest, right? So you have your father-in-law coming, right? My husband's dad. He comes up every couple months to hang out with us. We love him. Hey, Rick. He's probably not listening. Anyways, so when I know he's on his way, I know I got 3.5 hours to get this fucking house ready. Because I know I didn't do it ahead of time. I know I asked everybody in the house to help me get it ready days in advance, and they all rolled their eyes at me like, why do we have to do it now? And I'm like, so that we're not spending 10 minutes. But whatever.
Which is a great motivator.
Right, it is. And we got it. So manifestation is the same way. Get your fucking space ready for the prosperity and abundance so that you're able to receive it when it shows up.
And that has to be your body as well. It does have to be your body. And as a chronically ill person, I'm not going to be that person. It's like, you have to get up every morning and do the same thing with your instructor and you've got to have body weight. That's not what I'm saying, but you have to be taking care of your body, making sure you're paying attention to your nervous system, that you're giving your nervous system the best possible kind of groundwork to be able to handle this growth.
It's environment, right? You're not, if the house is on fire, you cannot, calm your mind and body. That's support.
Yes, you're never going to heal in the middle of the storm. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to not have trauma in the middle of trauma. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. You don't teach someone to swim when they're drowning.
Exactly. It's just like basic.
Yeah.
But it's
absolutely.
It's kind of hard if you've not been there.
Well, and mindset or manifestation gets such a bad rap when people are like, oh my God, so you just have to be delusional. I mean, have you ever tried it? Because what you're doing right now ain't getting you there.
Yeah. Well, I always say, man, just be stubborn. Like, just say, I'm having that because I know that that's for me. I need that. I want that. And I'm going to get it for myself. I'm going to do that. Like, if you don't want to be delusional, fine. Be stubborn. Be pig-headed, stubborn about it.
Yep. I said this to one of my clients the other day and I made content about it, but it really hit her like turn the knife counterclockwise. And this is a realization I had on one of my wonder walks. And it's that you're exactly where you are right now because of the size of your past dream.
Oh, that is so true. That is
and what you thought you were worthy of, what you thought you were capable of, your beliefs at the time. And because I'm in my dream home, in my dream neighborhood right now. But when I go walking 1.5 miles down the road and I look at the $1 million homes that are on the river, I made this one happen. Why can't I make that happen?
Yeah, same. Because I live in the UK. I moved to the UK, which is my dream since I was a child.
Where's your accent?
I know. I
work on
it. I
it.
wanted to sound like Madonna for a while, but I just couldn't bring myself to do that.
Or Dorit from Beverly Hills.
Oh my God.
My accent is autistic, so I'm good. I don't care.
Mine's just a mess. I sound like a banjo every time I talk. But it's the same thing. I had that moment the other day as well because I'm living in Scotland. I've got a handsome Scottish girl. I've got the perfect dog. I'm walking through a park getting my coffee with these beautiful trees hanging over me. You know what I mean? And it almost, I punch myself in the face and go, this is 8-year-old you would just be absolutely shitting the bed with excitement. Pardon my French. She would just not believe that you live this life. So like give yourself a little bit of credit.
There's also one of my Melanieisms that people say all the time is this is what I get people with when they're bitching about something. Mm-hmm. Like today, somebody on my live going off, you said thank you wrong. You said thank you wrong, right? If I had you on my podcast months ago because I filmed over 30-something episodes and your episode isn't out yet, don't send me an email that said, hey, that was a long time ago. Did it come out? Did I miss it? La, 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 la. First of all,
I hate that.
Do your due fucking diligence. Go check my goddamn page on YouTube. Second of all, can we calm our tits? This was free, honey bunny. This is promo for me and promo for you. So calm down. Do you want to edit the episode? Do you want to edit every fucking clip for social media? Do you want to come up with all the
about PDA getting triggered so fast. So
now, instead of going off on people when that happens, I let that go through my head for about 10 seconds, whatever is appropriate for the scenario. And then I say, you said thank you wrong.
That's good. I like that.
Said thank you wrong, right? Just get back in your place. Fucking figure it out. And I had a big this, and I made content about it yesterday and the video's doing well. But yesterday, I left my house at 3 p.m. because I had to pick up my kid from the bus stop at 3:45. And I said, I'm going to get my favorite iced latte. And I knew I couldn't walk there because it's 9 million degrees in Jacksonville, Florida. So I drove there. I had ordered ahead. So I just walked in, went up to the counter, Melanie, for my order, grabbed it. The guy looked me right in the eye when he gave it to me. He's a cute black guy, light skinned black guy with long dreads right on. He probably, if he listens, he'll know who I'm talking about. Anyways, but he looked me right in the eyes. He has those like Siberian husky eyes, looked me right in the eyes. I was like, okay. Normally I'm in there with my husband on Saturday morning, all sweaty from our walk with my big hat on, not looking super fly. But as I left, this woman, I couldn't really hear it because I had my headband headphones on, right? They're cute. And I hear, ma'am. And I was like, what? And I turn, I look, beautiful woman, probably late 40s, early 50s, comes running across the street. Says, I am coming from across the street to tell you, you are so beautiful. And I was like, and she looked at me.
I love that. I love that. I do that. I love that.
I got in my car, and in the same 5 minutes that had happened, I'm in my car driving through the neighborhood to go to my kid's bus stop, and a guy in a yellow Jeep that I'm passing, he's like, he backed up into a driveway, and I passed him, so we make eye contact. And I was going to tell him the peace sign because we made eye contact. He goes, what's it? 3 eye contacts in a row. Contacts in a row, and flipped off. And I was like, well, this is the content then, because what people were seeing in me was my joy and my exuberance and my acceptance of myself. And that made 2 people super stoked and 1 person mad.
Hate himself. Yeah, exactly. Reminding him of all the things that he is not doing or all the things that are going wrong in his life. And it becomes a competition with those kinds of people as well. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
So, here I walked out after that lady talked to me. I was like, thanks, spirit guides. I really needed that. And then knocked down a couple pegs, bitch. You're still busy. That wasn't the lesson we want to do to learn, honey.
Talk about snap back to reality. That's it right there. That's it.
Here we are. Okay, great. You're not going to make everybody happy. And you see this with your clients, I'm sure. When we stop the people pleasing, everything opens up for you. But
it is.
People don't like it.
No, they don't. You will never get more people that hate you than when you stop people pleasing. You will never get more personal success. And even if you like because we're humans, we all like outward validation to an extent, right?
Duh.
You will never
I have
get
hot
more
pink hair. What do you think that's for?
Yeah, you will never get more of that. I always tell my clients, it's like when you lose something and you stop looking for it and then it shows up. It's exactly what kind of just like being comfortable with yourself and falling into all of that feels like, because it just starts flowing in. But you do kind of have to be ready to kind of whip out the sword of fire occasionally because, people are going to hate you for it. Hate you. Absolutely hate you.
But, I've figured after 30 some odd years of people hating me for the mask that I wore, not even liking the person that I was trying so hard to be to please them.
Yeah.
Now I can at least save my energy to just be who I am. And then if you like it, cool, come hang out. If you don't like it, cool, peace be with you. Have a great time somewhere else.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many people are miserable. And for me, I'm someone who's analytical, right? I like numbers. I obviously talk a lot about narcissists. That's my thing. There's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people who are diagnosed as narcissists in the US alone, right? This is kind of how I rationalize it to myself. Why am I going to go walking around trying to just please these masses, of which there's going to be narcissists in these little groups who can't even make themselves happy? And then all the other toxic people that spiral from that. But why am I going to waste more energy trying to make these people happy? They can't make themselves happy. Literally performing for them doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. If we were to really think about masking as a performance, we would understand why we're so tired all the time and why it burns us out, right? She is not burning you out. Autism is not burning you out. Both of them are not burning you out. Masking is burning you out.
100%. Performance. I don't think people understand that it is actually physically draining. It's not just an emotional experience.
It's emotional manipulation.
Yeah, 100%. It is. And I don't think people understand that your emotions are actually tied to chemicals in your body, which come from physical functions and affect your physical systems. It's a very physically exhausting. It makes you sick. It contributes to chronic illness, on and on and on and on and on. It's like one of the worst possible things you can do. And when you stop doing it, it really doesn't change the interactions you have with other people. It just changes the way you're able to function, the way you're able to ease into your life, and the way you're able to kind of control your immediate environment.
When we decenter men, which is something that I've been doing for quite a while, which is funny because I live with my husband and my 2 sons and my 2 male dogs. Anyway, no wonder my PCOS and my lady system doesn't know. It's just trying to turn into a man. I'm just trying to fucking get along in my environment. But as a person who decenters men, and I live in a part of town that is very hipster, LGBTQI plus sort of situation, right? Like the beaches in Jacksonville is where the Republicans kind of took over, and then where I'm at
I'm
in
from
the
Florida
Riverside.
originally. Yes.
Yeah. My Riverside Avondale area where I'm at is where like the cool kids went to, right? Like the artists and the
Yeah.
painters and all that. So it's like I enjoy hanging out. I just lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Where you're living at in Florida, we were talking about kind of accommodating, masking.
Oh, okay. So I was out at a bar. I don't drink, but I was out at a bar having lunch, and I was sitting there with my headphones on, and I knew my bartender really well. He's a cute guy. I love him so much. I followed him to another restaurant that he went to too, so I eat there now too. But I was just sitting there having a good time, headphones on, prominent headphones like these. And I'm scrolling TikTok, doing whatever the fuck I'm doing. And this man that was sitting next to me, probably in his late 20s, early 30s, looked like military, and my husband's military, so I know what they look like. 2 chairs away from me, got up and came into my space and touched my shoulder to like tap me. And I am the autistic that doesn't want to be touched. I don't hug people. My kids and my husband get my hugs and my dogs, and nobody else touches me. I don't like it. And he touched me, and I went. So mind you, my in front of me, and he's seeing this happen. He's like, "Oh no, he's too far away. He couldn't tell the guy to get the fuck away from me." He's like, "No, she's a good tipper. Don't piss her off." And he comes up to me and he taps me, and I looked at my bartender. I made eye contact, and then I grabbed my headphone. And I made this face, and I turned, and I made eye contact with the kid, and I went. So I gave him one of those, and I went like that, and his face was. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. I said, "Yet here we are." Yeah. It gets better. I said, "Yet here we are. Here we are." And he goes, "Can you watch my backpack while I go outside?" And I looked at him and I said, "No." And the bartender went and ran and kind of us. He goes, "Hey, buddy, I got you." And so the guy was kind of like, "What the fuck?" And he went outside to vape or smoke or whatever it is. And I looked right at the bartender. I said, "Do I work here now? Do I have a uniform? Is this what's happening?" He goes, "No, don't worry. Don't worry." I said, "I'm not worried. Just, do you see this man?" He goes, "It's always a man." And I
hate that. And that is still my last big kind of obstacle, but that doing labor, just that demand for labor it's the last big trigger for me. It's the last big hurdle. And, old EB is fortunately not, taking her Memphis rage out on people anymore. But that, I tell you what, it's also not excusable. You know what I mean? Like you've got to set an actual outward boundary when that stuff happens, or people just keep using you that way. They just keep using you.
Like, what a way to not be able to read the room, buddy. And he was flabbergasted that I just looked at him like that. He was like,
pisses me off.
He went, "Oh," like you could tell this had never happened to him before. He was like, "Did I do something wrong?" Like he gave me that face. I was just like, "What
Like,
the fuck do you think you can talk to me for, bud?"
I guess he thought you were his mother. He looked at you and he made a mistake. Thought you were his mother because you happen to be a female.
Be someone's mother. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Get up. These people better, like, I don't think they understand. I'll swing on somebody. You come up behind me. I have hearing problems, first of all, so I can't always hear everybody.
Right.
And I have trauma in my background. You come up and touch me. I don't know you.
Yeah, I'm ready to square. Like, if my partner walks around the corner in the kitchen and I'm not expecting him, he's got to, like, be ready for,
right?
A knife coming up or something, because I can't tolerate that either. My nervous system is not accepting of it.
One day.
Yeah, when I'm old and everything's just
I mean, we don't have to say that. We can put it out into the ethers as like a mantra and as something that we're manifesting that, when the time is right and I've done the right amount of work, I'm excited that my hypervigilance can go down and I won't want to stab my partner when they come in the kitchen.
Oh, it is. I'm kind of a disaster humorist, but it gets better every day. It's just so slow, especially if you spent decades being traumatized like I was, and it took a lot of acceptance to go, right, you spent 7 years being brutalized by narcissistic family literally every day. Why did you think that you were going to just like slide out of, all of that physical damage, which is literally brain damage? Why did you think you were going to slide out of that in 2 years or 5 years? It's going to take some time. You're going to have to reteach yourself that the world is safe, and it happens. It happens in kind of, bits and bobs, and then there's big long stretches where everything goes right, and then you relapse and it comes back. It's just a cycle, the journey.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite somatic practices when you notice that your nervous system is out of whack?
Stretching is the first one that I go to. There's
I was literally just thinking about the word stretching. Like my spirit guides were telling me to talk to you about stretching. That's fucking crazy.
I was sitting here already doing it. No, stretching is one of the best ones. The simple one that I always tell people you can start with is you can just do it when you're like laying in bed before you get up in the morning or before you go to bed at night. It's where you start at your toes and you work all the way up, but you basically just tighten and then relax and release each piece of your body, moving all the way up. When you do that as a neurodivergent person as well, you also realize where you were holding on to a lot of tension that you didn't realize, because you go to squeeze it
What?
and everything's already really tight, and then you realize that you need to relax it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
That's really, really good. The holy grail, and I don't know why it took me so long to find this. Johns Hopkins University has a whole YouTube library of somatic exercises. There's like 20 or
Okay.
30 exercises in there. I'll send you the link and you can share it with your followers and your readers and everything, because there's a text version of it and then you can find it on YouTube. But there's so many stretches, there's so many passive exercises, breath work that you can do as well. Breath work is so good for activating the somatic nervous system. Even just as simple as doing 4 beats in, 4 beats out, and then you increase that, 8 beats in, 8 beats out. Very simple. I don't that's something that I'm kind of annoyed by, and also it's very miraculous. There's so many little simple things that you can do to improve your nervous system, your brain health. Neuroplasticity as well is one that is so fundamental for neurodivergent people.
You
For
know what I
people who
do,
don't-
City? Okay. So I brush my teeth with the other non-dominant hand.
Love
And then when I'm
that.
feeling really squirrely and I'm
Uh-huh.
cooking, I try and use my non-dominant hand for like getting the biscuits
That's
off the
excellent.
pan and stuff like that. But you
Yeah.
gotta be careful so you don't hurt yourself. Things are hot
Yes.
in the kitchen. I've been in the kitchen for a very long time, guys. This is your
Yes.
disclaimer.
Yeah.
But using the non-dominant hand as much as you can
Any kind
without
of
like
skill
babying
building.
it.
That's it. That's excellent. Just sitting trying to write with your left hand. Any kind of memory exercises you can do. Also, chia seeds, chia seeds, chia seeds. You should be feeding your brain chia seeds. It's so good for neuro. Yeah, it's very simple. You just have to do teeny tiny things that you just have to build on every day.
Yeah.
And it helps your brains rewire itself, which then helps you to feel more calm. And then that helps your cognitive abilities to improve. It's every
We
system
really
is
do
linked.
get addicted to our stress and our cortisol. Cortisol is a chemical that you get addicted to, and if your brain and body are used to chaos, then peace is going to feel boring and it's going to feel wrong. It's going to feel unsafe.
It is. So you should feel it. That's why I say fill it with passion projects. Find things that you're excited about. If you're a neurodivergent, I always said, that hyper focus that you used to feel when you were a kid and you were reading that volcano book for 8 hours and then you looked up and it was dinner time. Find those things. Find those joyful, fun, curiosity things, because it is. You're going to get so bored because you're used to the stress. So that transition using passion projects, joy, good people, building your self-esteem through positive experiences, positive inner child work, it all helps with that immensely.
Yeah.
Immensely.
Walking backwards is also a really good neuroplasticity thing, and it's good if you have Ehlers-Danlos or other body autoimmune chronic illnesses because it helps your knees regenerate so much better with low stress. So make sure you're in like a straight shot, or you have somebody that's like making sure you're not going to trip. But when I go on my 4.5 mile walks, I am walking backwards for like a quarter of a mile of that here and there. So I'll just like turn around and I'll walk backwards for like 20 steps. It's hard. Like if you've ever put your face in ice cold water, your instant reaction is to pull out of it. When you try walking backwards, literally the first time I tried it, my body went and turned me around. And I was like, wait a minute, we were going backwards here. So it takes a lot of cognitive function and energy to do it for a length of time. But it's so good for your brain and it's so good for your knees. Because I know us millennials that didn't know we had Ehlers-Danlos and we're really pushing ourselves and we were dropping it low in the club, baby. We set ourselves up for failure when it comes to those joints.
I wonder if that's why, because this is my shameful disclosure. I was a marching band nerd. I was the band geek. Oh, I was trumpet, first chair, trumpet. Yeah. Oh, that's too cool. Oh, okay. You're brass. Thank God. Okay. I was like, oh, she's gonna say.
She's gonna do woodwind.
What am I gonna say? Well, I didn't. I was like, oh, please don't let her say woodwind. What am I gonna say?
No, I wanted to play the clarinet, but okay, it was a weird story. I was in middle school orchestra, played the viola, and then in 7th grade, I got into a fist fight with the other boy viola player that was first chair, second chair. Excellent. It was a whole hubbubaloo. So I had to switch into band, right? Because that teacher hated me because I almost got her fired for negligence. Anyways, neither here nor there.
Why does every neurodivergent person have that story of the teacher they almost got fired? I swear.
Technician. She was never in the room. I knew I could get away with it. It wasn't good. I'm not proud of myself. Anyways, so I went over to band and I had my sister's band teacher and he looked right at me and he said, you got your sister's mouth just bigger. She played trombone. You're going to play tuba. I said, okay. And I just started playing the fucking tuba and then here we are. And I remember my friend who had a trumpet was like, see if you can do this. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to make a sound out of that. And I can get the lowest note out of a trumpet.
Oh, that's excellent. That's hard to do. That's hard to do. But you've got that trombone embouchure, so not trombone, sorry, tuba embouchure. So you're ready to go.
Came ready for that.
That's
marching band.
I know. I loved marching band. And I was all about that walking backwards because I got that low center of gravity. So it was always just a
Yeah.
little bend in the knee and you could just really haul it back.
Yeah. I think I
That
really
was
liked
fun.
the sousaphone because I felt so protected by it too.
I wanted to play the sousaphone so bad and they would never let me touch that thing.
I
They're
mean,
not gonna let
it
me.
was like 45 pounds sitting on your one left trapezoid. So, I mean,
Yeah.
literally in high school, this trap was way bigger than this one.
Right.
So, and I played golf and tennis too. So, like, everything's
The
a little
heat.
cockeyed. And oh, it's so hot. And who
Yeah, the
makes
heat with that
uniforms out of
cotton.
wool?
I don't know who did that. And it's like 2 inches thick wool as well. They didn't skimp at all on that.
And it
Drafted
smells like
plastic.
cat pee when it gets rained on.
Oh, those uniforms. Not enough money in the world to make me go back to that.
Well, no, it doesn't make it. And who washed them? Did they get washed?
Our college ones definitely did not. They did not because we were
I remember
responsible
telling
for 'em.
people after being in band and band camp for a certain amount of years, you can change your clothes in a 2-foot hole in the
Anywhere, moving rocket ships, anywhere you can change your
Yeah.
clothes. That's been one of the best skill sets I've gotten there.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. And it's like, no wonder everybody thought the band geeks were a bunch of nerds. They were the horniest group of kids I've ever met in my life.
They were. Oh, they were. They were like I don't. Yeah, we
So
yeah.
horny all the
I
time.
was like,
Maybe
I
it's
can't.
because
I
we were
know
always
that some
running
of my
around
friends
naked
are
and
listening.
changing, but it was something.
Yeah.
It was carnal. It
Some
was
of my best friends,
carnal.
yeah, it was. I'm not going to tell their stories, but yeah, it was. It was not R-rated. It was worse than that.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I remember whoever had like their parent wanted to be the band parent, they were kind of rejected out of our groups because we're like, your parent's the narc.
Yeah. See,
Get your parent out of
ours was
here.
the worst because the biggest involved band parent, she was the preacher's wife. So that kid was always in the back of the band bus. You know
Repressed,
what I mean? Yeah.
repressed, trying
Yeah.
to get shit
Was
done. Oh
the
my god.
yeah.
Oh my god. Do you remember movie theaters? Just my things go to a movie now, and I have no worry about what they're doing in that movie theater.
No, I worked in a movie theater and it just like nah. That would horrify me if I had to send my daughter to a movie theater. I don't even think I'd let her go to movies. I don't know what would happen. She would not be allowed to leave my house, I think.
I mean, it's this generation of kids, right? Because I have had the pleasure of being old enough that some of my friends are Gen Z, but they're 10
Oh,
years
okay.
older than my kid. And then my
Yeah.
kid is Gen Z. And then these Gen Alphas, they are so different than we were when we were
Yeah.
teenagers. Nobody
Right.
talks about their fucking weight. Nobody talks about your fucking boobs. Like, I remember
Oh.
95 to, we were talking about whether Britney Spears was 18 and got a in poor girl
Yeah.
on fucking SNL
Whether or not
and
she
they put
lost
that
her
shirt on
virginity.
to make her boobs move around. She's a
Yeah.
child, and we're talking
Yeah.
about her body.
Yeah, 16 years old, and they were running news stories whether she'd had sex at 6, like, just absolutely disgusting. Disgusting.
I don't understand why we're even talking about whether or not a girl's been a virgin. Like, it has always freaked me
Yeah.
out that a dad would be like, "Oh, my daughter has to be a virgin until she's married." Why are you thinking about your daughter's sex life?
Exactly. So it's the same as dads who buy boob jobs, in my personal opinion, who are like, "Here you go, sweetie. I thought you could use a bigger set." Like, it just sits wrong with me in every possible
You
way.
know, we could start talking about parents too, like the moms of boys that are on TikTok talking about like, "You won't take my son when he marries you. I'm gonna make sure he loves me." And it's like, what?
That was my mom was a boy mom for 19 years before I came onto the scene because both my brothers are so much older than me. So, yeah, she was that woman. She was very much like when my brothers would bring a woman in, she was like, "Who are you? What are you going to do for my son? What do you cook for him?" One of them still irons my brother's underwear, like gets up and gets his underwear ready for him in the morning and stuff. Just, yeah. Boy moms. Hashtag boy.
I am also a boy mom, and I would like everybody to know that I'm not that.
But you're
boy
not a
mom.
boy mom, though. But you're not a hashtag.
No, I'm just a mom of boys. I had sons
Exactly.
to stop the generational trauma
That's
in
the
my
difference.
family.
100%.
Yeah, like
When I say
literally.
boy mom, it's a person.
Oh, we know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like I remember telling my grandpa when my grandpa was dying, I had met my husband and he was going into the Navy, but he wasn't quite in it yet. And my grandpa declined and died when my husband was in basic training. So the timeline, like 1 year, a lot of things happened. So my grandpa had only had granddaughters. He had 8 granddaughters and not one grandson. Out of his 5 kids, the 3 that had kids had all daughters. 3, 2, 2. Okay.
Wow.
So I looked at my grandpa and said, "Hey, I know none of us are going into the military." And he knew none of us girls. He knew none of all of his girls were all very high maintenance. None of us, like, however tomboy any of us are, we all still wanted our makeup. So I remember telling him, I said, "I will keep the military alive in our family with my husband because he's going into the Navy." My grandpa was Air Force. So then I have 2 sons, right? I don't know if they're going to go into the military or what they're going to do, but my sister had 2 daughters.
Right.
So we don't actually talk anymore for there's many reasons. I don't talk to a lot of my family. Anybody who's alive, I probably don't talk to. I talk to
Same.
my husband's
Yeah.
family more than I talk to my family. But I like look at it and I compare it and I go, cycle continue, cycle stop.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, it's like it's what is it? It's like serendipity almost.
Yeah,
That all
divine
of that
timing.
playing out.
Like
Yeah.
it shows you if you think about any of this woo woo energy magic stuff, it shows itself in physical form.
Yeah, it does. Well, I mean, all of that woo-woo stuff, so much of it was created just before people had an understanding of psychology, but they were trying to achieve the same goals. They needed to shift a mindset to change a behavior to create an action and a thing in the real world, you know? So
Yeah.
that's what there's a place for all of that. It's all about putting together a toolbox for yourself that you can use for whatever hat you have to put on, you know? You wanna have as
Yeah.
many tools as possible, have as many options as possible so you can be like the most well-rounded, healthy version of yourself, you know, with the most options.
Yeah, and I want everybody listening to know that being the best version of yourself does not mean in chronological order. So you don't have to be better today than you were yesterday. You just have to show up for yourself at your capacity today.
That's it. That is literally it. There's nothing if you were to put down every self-help book in the world, stop taking courses or whatever it was, if you were to just stop ingesting self-help content and walk away from it all right now today, you would still be lovable and worthy and good and all of those things, right? It's not this you're not working towards an imaginary finish line. It is just continuity of just like as you said, being there for yourself and just kind of being present and being able to navigate it without falling apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, I've been so happy to have you on the show. I've been waiting so long for you to be here.
Yes,
Before we let everybody go, tell everybody, and this will be in the show notes, but tell everybody where they can find you on socials, how they can work with you, all that stuff. Plug your spot.
absolutely. So you can get me on medium.com. I produce a new article there every day, all about relationships and trauma and realistic, practical personal growth. You can also find me on TikTok at the real EB Johnson. Again, I do a lot of my coaching on there. You can find me on Instagram at the same name. And if you want to work with me, if you want to find out more about cognitive reappraisal, rebalancing your life after narcissistic abuse, or just kind of becoming self-possessed as someone with a lot of chaos or dysfunction who wants to get their nervous system under control, you can do that going to therealebjohnson.com and click on working with me to find out more.
Oh my God, it's been so nice having you on here. If you can leave everybody with one little word of wisdom before we sign off, what would you like everybody listening and watching to know?
That's a really good question. The big thing for me is to just be human. Like embrace having a human experience. A lot of this trauma culture, self-help culture, it's turned into we have to become these superhuman people who only have these blissful experiences, these positive moments, who only have good feelings and good thoughts. And that's just not human. That's
Yeah.
not human. You can go back to any point in history and see human stories, good and bad, you know, whatever it is. Just be human, be in a human experience, embrace all of your emotions, embrace the ups and the downs, and see how it creates the big picture, how it makes you whole as a person, how it completes the journey, and it becomes so much easier. Just letting yourself be human, make mistakes, get up and do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. When I make a mistake, I like to tell people, oh, I guess I didn't take my perfect pill today.
Oh, I like that. That's a good way to look at it. That's excellent.
I forgot that one. Hopefully. Oh, that reminds me. I got to go take my vitamins. All right. Everybody listening, I want you to know that I love you equally and for different reasons. And I want you to do your research and take care of yourself. And thank you for being here. And we'll talk again really soon. Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye.